framework net benefits is exclusionary. It's all about counting bodies and dollars, literally commodifying humans and determining their tangible worth. Once something is excluded from normative civic spheres, their lives are subject to social stability calculus. Convicted felons are unable to vote after they serve their election time. That prevented 6.1 million Americans from voting in the 2016 election. In debate, we try to construct a utopia through flawed methods and systems. Rather than admitting that the world is beyond our control, we try and construct a fantasy of the total mastery of the planet, becoming vampires and suffering, trying to save people. The only actual tool the debaters have is their individual agency, beginning with self-agency. It presupposes any government action, fetishizing state-sanctioned civil rights, makes structural racism, and perpetuates hand-washing. The Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986 created mandatory minimum sentencing drug laws, and black Latinos were convicted at 122% the rate of whites, despite the fact that two groups use the drugs at the same rate. 3, evaluates around the epistemological considerations. A, epistemology interrogates the methods of knowledge construction, and 2, elucidate power relations. The state construction beliefs of individuals to believe their attempts to assimilate are correct. 4, the ballot functions as debate currency, determining the community norms and ethically strategically valuable. Vote for the team that uses the debate space as a step to resist assimilation. We are reclaiming the power of the ballot by using it as currency separate from democracy of the state and using it to advocate for a good cause. Breaking down the privilege of the state is key to change. Thesis 1. Democracy is founded upon a corrupt mobocracy. The myth of democracy uses the guise of equal participation to promote equality, but disregards millions that are skewed out of the system as anomalies. The Army Training Manual of 1929 defines democracy as a government of masses, authority derived through the mass meetings, which result in mobocracy without restraint or regard to consequences. Voter ID loss have skewed minorities out of the political process. Latinos have 7.6% and blacks have an 8.5% gap for turnout between states and ID laws. In Ohio, new voting laws are passed in 2016 and require a rendition of literacy tests designed to prevent those individuals who cannot pass to be unable to vote. This helps perpetuate some individuals in the working classes, some of those designed to be the social elite. The state inherently perpetuates and encourages power structures. Henry Thoreau said that the mass never comes up with the standard of its best member, but on the contrary degrades itself to a level with the lowest. 2, the myth of democracy constructs the prevalence of whiteness in democracy. Whiteness is an identity relation in the utility of myth of democracy. The whole nation was trumped by democratic whiteness through its utility of uneducated white populace as a weapon through their ballots to conduct the attacks against minorities. The myth of democracy utilizes legislation to construct a barrier of activism to prevent internal change. Florida requires voter ID law to vote if you don't have one. You can only cast a provisional ballot, which are thrown out. These laws discourage Latino voting in the election and lets the election win by Trump in Florida by less than 100,000 votes. 3, democracy perpetuates instability. Aldous Huxley attempted to fight the state through literary tests, proclaiming the need to fight the New World, but explained how instability of the system would require complete rejection of democratic mythos. He stated that there is no social stability without individual stability. Links. 1, plans appeasement for the marginalized. The app only addresses the symptoms of a system that has an inequality inherently built in. This means that they only put band-aids on bullet wounds that can never solve back, because new problems will always emerge in the state constructed to create them. Inevitability props up a white savior at the point where the plan says we need white government to save those in poor, poor, people of color, etc. 2, the state action is malevolent. The state was intentionally created to juxtapose white landowning males as higher than poor, people of color, and women. Women only make up 20% of the U.S. government, and people of color make up only 10%. There are only 7% openly queer members of Congress. This means that the state attempting to solve this problem is simple interest of conversion thinking, where the state throws the public a bone with ulterior motives. 3, savior rhetoric of solving for otherization out of the PMC. This creates a model where marginalized groups are used as a weighing mechanism, something to quantify and legitimize the affirmative flawed plan that merely further entrenches racism within the U.S. This perpetuates the savior of the democratic system when the best state seen to solve for the problems of the others, the American democracy. Impacts. 1, cyclical racism, to put it simply, democracy is mob rule. With lynching occurs, democratic majority is just exercising its will upon democratic minority. The trick to surviving into democracy is to always agree with the majority. However, that at its root is evil. Democracy masks structural issues and perpetuates hand-washing by denying individuals access to the system, but by saying everyone is included. Ballots in America function as tokens of empowerment to make people think that everyone has a say, but disregards how some people don't have access to a ballot. In Utah and South Dakota, and Native Americans have to drive upwards of 10 hours to get to a polling location. This creates cycles of otherization. When the state controls the narrative of equality in white heteronormative systems, sweep people under the rug. The other is ontologically damned because they can never regain the full personhood in society's eyes. Look to when European settlers viewed Native Americans as inferior and gave them the permission to send 16,000 Cherokees on the Trail of Tears, killing at least 4,000 of the 4,000 on the 1,200-mile journey. The state can never self-perpetuate any form of acceptance of the state's terminal no-solvency. Republicans supported an individual mandate like the one in Obamacare when Mitt Romney introduced it in Massachusetts, but fought when Obama presented it. The state trying to act like it can solve will always lead to hand-washing effects where the government participating in welfare programs and saying they're ending poverty when more rights are on welfare than people of color means that the state will always mask the issue and make it work when silence and abuse the individual become spectators of violence and are caught in a constant state of unintelligible death. Two-class hierarchies, these class hierarchies are only able to be deconstructed through the rejection of the mythos of democracy. The classes in the power utilize disguise and distraction to bully the classes into an attempt to use any attempts at resistance against each other. Class hierarchies commodify statistics of death to scare middle-class members into murdering lower-class members in hopes that protecting their class safety, but the veil created by the myth of democracy, when lifted, reveals out-of-state reality. In the last 13 years, democracy has killed many more people than all of the political creeds and religions put together. Alternative: vote GCU to reject the myth of American democracy perpetuated by the PMC. Vote GCU to reject the myth of American democracy perpetuated by the PMC. Solvency. One, rejection is key to agency. It allows us to locate an act of repression and makes power accountable to those effects. That means that we're able to identify the faults of the flawed system and rally against them, which is a prerequisite to policymaking, creating an epistemology outside of an insulated, creating epistemology outside and insulated from the state is key to creating the change within the political system. In 2011, the Tunisian people held a revolution that overthrew their dictator, started by the street vendor. Rejecting the state rule, acting within the state would have stunned the revolutionary potential of the squo. 2, rejection is an active process of taking an explicit stance. Key to resistance. This is key to resistance because rejection ruptures the current system of knowledge and construction and is the first step to creating change. Our criticism is a radical break from the status quo by highlighting oppressive debate power structures. We open up a new chance of reform. Complete rejection of the mythos of American democracy is key to being able to find a system to operate that is based in fairness and equality. Holding on to any part of the state means that we will inevitably be complicit in its whiteness. Rejection within the debate space is key because it allows for us to have an open forum and create discussions that change, whereas most people would avoid similar discussions at the street or dinner table. Boom.